What's cooking, everyone? It's your girl, Elena Besser. I'm the founder of The Lineup, and welcome to Break an Egg. We have an amazing recipe for you today. It is a green shakshuka. We're cooking with Nellie's free-range eggs. They are the cream of the crop eggs, the creme de la creme, the best possible eggs that you could cook with. And I'm not just saying it because I have this apron on. They have really sturdy shells, so you don't have to deal with shells cracking into your food. And they also have the most gorgeous orange yolks. And on top of that, they taste really great, and the hens are treated with respect, and it's all about respecting our produce. But I digress. Let's get into it. We are going to start things off with our leeks. So leeks are a really delightful light onion that add a ton of depth of flavor to whatever it is you are cooking. I cut them into really thin strips, and just make sure that you wash these really well because they tend to have a ton of sand. Rinse them several times, but instead of pouring the water out, you're gonna wanna lift the leeks up and pour the water out so that you don't get a ton of sand going back into the leeks. It would defeat the purpose, you guys. And we just have some unsalted butter right here. We're gonna add it into a saute pan, or a saucepan. The butter is basically entirely melted. It's starting to slightly bubble. I'm gonna crank up the heat a little bit to make sure we're on a true medium. You can see those bubbles forming. And then we're just gonna take our thinly sliced leeks and we're gonna add them in. And then we're just gonna give them a little stir. Get them all buttered up. And these are gonna go for like 15 minutes. So this is definitely probably like the longest portion. And honestly, if you don't have leeks, you could swap this out for green onions. You could use white onion, yellow onion, and truly any onion. If you're gonna use a red onion, it's probably going to be a little sweeter. So just make sure you keep that in mind. Look at this lid. It's like cymbals. We're just gonna pop that on top. It's definitely too big, but I don't wanna do more dishes. So we're gonna keep that going there. And while this is rocking and rolling, I think it's time for us to get into blanching all of our vegetables so that we can really make this shakshuka green. Blanching is a really fun technique. You will find it being used all the time if you cook in a restaurant kitchen, and I love to use it at home as well. What you're going to do is you're going to take a big pot of boiling water and you're going to aggressively salt it. Like, I mean it. You want a lot of salt. We want to cook our veg really quickly. We want to flavor it with this salty water. So we're essentially seasoning this to bring out all of its flavors. What blanching does is it breaks down our vegetables. It takes out any of the intense bitterness, and it also allows you to reveal that gorgeous bright green color. And if it's a green shakshuka, we want it to be bright and gorgeous and green. Salt that water. We want it to taste like the sea. That's salty. Okay, it's boiling and it's ready to rumble. Let's do it. We're gonna add this spinach in. You wanna make sure that you have a bowl of ice water ready to go. We're adding in our parsley as well. And this is not gonna take long. It's only gonna take like 10 to 15 seconds. What we're looking for is we're looking for the spinach to break down. We are looking for the parsley to break down, and we're looking for a really nice, vibrant green color. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna lift it out of that pot. And what I like to do, this is a fun like restaurant-y tip, when we're taking this veg out from the salted water, if it goes into just normal water that isn't seasoned, you're gonna lose that saltiness and that flavor. It's gonna get washed off. So I like to season my ice water as well. And then we're gonna pop the spinach in there. And the whole goal here is we're trying to build those flavors. And the way to do it is to continue salting throughout the cooking process. Another thing that I love about blanching is that you don't need to wash your vegetables before you blanch something, because all of that dirt is gonna fall to the bottom of the pot when you end up cooking the veg. So it saves you a lot of time. So this is all done. Let's check out our leeks. Let's see how those are doing. Oh yeah, we got some good color on these bad boys. They've softened down quite a bit. And now what we're gonna do is we're going to get all of the water out of here as much as we possibly can. If there's some ice hanging out, it's totally fine. And we're just gonna squeeze any excess water and we're gonna pop it right into our blender. Spinach and parsley in, leeks go in. So I have just a little bit of heavy cream here. This is not entirely necessary. If you wanted, you could totally just do all water here, but what the heavy cream is going to do is it's gonna add a really nice richness, a little more body to this spinach puree that is gonna be the foundation of our shakshuka. If you wanted, you could even do like tahini in here if you are dairy-free. The world really is your oyster. Just think about what would add nice creaminess. And then we're gonna add in a little bit of water. So let's do it. What we're looking for here is a really like smooth consistency. We want it to almost look like pesto. Look at that. Absolutely stunning. We're just gonna let this hang out while we cut up our veg, and then it's time to build our shakshuka. Out of all the vegetables that exist, I think that this is my favorite vegetable, and I never had or knew about fennel until my 20s, fun fact. The best way to prep fennel is by cutting off the stems. This is wonderful. You can use this for garnish. These are the fennel fronds. They have a really delicate anise flavor. So a lot of people get super intimidated by the flavor of anise and they think, oh, it tastes like black licorice, I'm not into it. But I promise you, if you use fennel and cook it down, or even if you just salt it and let it sweat a little, that anise flavor is really gonna mellow out and be so much more approachable than you would think. So now we have this fennel, we have this core that's running through here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this into really thin strips. So what I would like to do is I like to take it and quarter it first. And then we're going to run our knife along that core, just so we still have a little bit that's intact so that all these individual layers still stick together. The next thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna cut this into really thin strips. You could do it one side down if you want and just kind of cut it along the side, and this is what we're going for here. Beautiful. See, it's still all intact. It's still pretty thin. It's probably about 1/4 of an inch thick, and we are just gonna continue down. And fennel bulbs range in size, so just keep that in mind when you are making fennel dishes. What we're going for here is probably about like 1.5 cups, I'd say, of fennel generally. Whenever I'm cooking and I'm making egg dishes, it's really important to me to make sure that I know where the egg is from. That's one of the many reasons why I'm a big fan of Nellie's, is because the hens themselves are free range. You'll see cage free, you'll see free range. Cage free means that the hen itself is not in a cage. It may not be living off the pasture though, baby. It could be in a tiny confined space. But free range eggs means that these hens are able to roam free on the range and live their best life and enjoy all of those amazing offerings that the range has, the pasture has, whether it be bugs, grass, which really gives it that vitamin-rich diet and allows us to have those stunning yolks, those thick shells. We have green onions here, also known as scallions. What I like to do is I like to, of course, make sure they're nice and washed. Any dry bits, I'll just delicately peel off. We'll line them up, we'll take those, pop them into a scrap bowl. Whenever I'm cooking, I always wanna make sure I have a bowl for all of my scraps. We are essentially going to put the onions and the fennel in at the same time. So we wanna make sure that from a size standpoint, they're giving a similar experience. The time it's gonna take for them to cook is based off of the size of the cut of the vegetable. So in culinary school, they always say to us, you wanna really make sure that when you are cooking, you pay attention to even sizes, which is why they spend so much painstaking time on knife cuts. 1, 2, and then 3, because these are really light. And now it is time to cook everything. I have a really nice saute pan here. You want something that's pretty heavy. This is 12.5 inches. The whole goal here is we want to be able to crack in 6 eggs. So just make sure that there's enough room for those 6 eggs. Okay, I just have some extra virgin olive oil and this ravishing cruet. And I'm adding that in. Boom. And we're rocking a medium heat here. It is time to saute our veg. So our oil is hot. I like to just kind of test it by holding my hand above it, or what you can also do is like take a tiny piece of food and pop it in, and if it's sizzling and bubbling, that's how you know it's right. We are adding our fennel right on in there. And then we're also gonna add our green onion, and this is gonna be hit with, you guessed it, salt to awaken the flavor. So another 3-finger pinch. This is gonna help sweat everything out. It's also going to bring out all of that delicious flavor that exists in the veg. So we have parts of our fennel and our onion left over. So I like to try to use everything that I can. And we have the green tops. So what I'm gonna do is to make them nice and fancy, I'm gonna angle my knife and we're gonna cut it on a bias. So essentially a bias means you're cutting something on an angle. And I'm going to just trim that off. And then we're just going to keep slicing this. And then I'm just gonna pluck some of these gorgeous fronds off. And we can also use this as garnish on top. So you can really cook this as long as you want. I believe the recipe says like 3 minutes, but truthfully, I want a little bit more color on here. So I'm just gonna let it go a little bit longer. What that's going to do is it's just gonna continue to soften it, but if you want more of a toothsome bite, then go for the 3 minutes. Our veg is looking really great. We have some nice color on it, as you can see right here. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna transfer this over to a pan, and we'll come back to it later. But it's time to build our shakshuka. It's the moment we've all been waiting for. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna add in a little more oil. We want this to be over a medium heat. We're gonna add our spinach in, because basically we blanched and blended mostly all of the spinach, but we reserved about like 50 grams. A little bit of water, which is just gonna help steam this and move it along. Then we're gonna hit it with some salt, because again, we wanna make sure that we are seasoning as we go, building that flavor. So next up, our gorgeous spinach mixture. Yum. And now we're gonna add in all of our other veg. We can just kind of mix this around, even it out. And I'm just kind of scattering it because we want it to be pretty evenly distributed throughout. Parmesan here, and this is just freshly grated parm. I prefer 24-month aged because it really gives you a nice nutty flavor, but it really is up to you. And then we have aged provolone here. So the recipe, I believe, says it's Kashkaval cheese, which basically is pretty similar to aged provolone. It's definitely a bit harder to find. So the aged provolone is an amazing option. So the next thing we're gonna do is what we've all been waiting for. We're gonna crack some eggs. All of my ingredients in here, but what's really important with the shakshuka is you wanna make sure that every egg knows its place. So we are going to make little divots to create essentially a well for each of our eggs to exist in. And we're just gonna crack our eggs into these beautiful wells that we've cultivated. This is Nellie's free-range eggs. As you can see, it has a really lovely hard shell. This makes it a lot easier to avoid getting any shells in whatever it is that you're cooking. What I like to do when I am cracking eggs for shakshuka is if you really want to live on the edge and go rogue, you could crack it directly in. But to give myself just a little extra insurance, I like to crack it into a bowl first, just to make sure that the yolk doesn't break. You're gonna take the egg and you're just gonna pop it right into that well, right there. And we're gonna repeat this. And not only does this egg look good, but you know, better quality eggs actually taste better, and the better looking eggs actually taste better. The eggs are free of antibiotics, they're free of hormones, they're exactly what you want in an egg. Add it in, boom. All we gotta do, cover this up, let everything set, and this isn't gonna take long, it's only gonna take a couple minutes. So we just pop it right on and let it work its magic. So what's great about this is that what's happening is when we put the lid on, there's gonna be steam building up inside of the pan. And that steam is going to slowly set those egg whites and make sure that we still have a really nice runny egg yolk. And then the only thing left to do is gonna be to eat. You ready for the big reveal? Ooh, gorgeous. I've never used this. Oh my gosh, yes, please. You could just add normal kosher salt, but let's just be a little fancy here. I've got some flaky salt. I'm gonna sprinkle that over the top. We really wanna hit the eggs because the eggs don't have any seasoning on them. And then we're also going to give this a little extra cheese love. We have our green onion, ooh. And this is optional, but I just love how green it is. This is the restaurant trick, a little finishing oil over the top to give it that gorgeous glossy sheen. And here we go, green shakshuka with Nellie's eggs. We want the egg, the white to be set, but we want the yolk to still be runny. So I will kind of just take my finger and tap tap to see what I'm going for here. And I am gonna dive into this section. It really all depends on preference, as I like to serve it with some toasted sourdough bread. So you can just tuck that in there. This stunning orange, runny yolk. And do you see the color on this? I mean, it's amazing when you are working with a product that you know is rooted in sustainability. As you can see, this stunning orange yolk, it actually is reminding me of a couple fun facts as to why Nellie's is so great. They were actually the first egg producer in the US to be B Corp certified and certified humane, you guys. So this company is really just prioritizing sustainability, quality of their eggs, and you can really see it in the egg itself. So let's finally give it a taste. We are just gonna take that luxurious yolk and white and all of that spinach goodness. And there's only one thing left to do. Take a bite. Oh, baby. That is delicious. We get the crunch from the bread, that really nice creaminess from the butter and the cream that's in the leek and spinach mixture. The fennel is coming through really nice and light. It gives a subtle anise flavor, but it's very approachable. It's like the most delicious onion I've ever had. And then, more important than anything, we have our egg that is cooked absolutely perfectly, if I do say so myself. Make this during the weekday. Make it if you're entertaining and hosting friends, if you're doing a fun brunch, if you're doing a little breakfast moment. You could even have this for dinner if you want. And a huge shout out to our pals over at Nellie's Free Range. Love you guys. Thanks so much for sponsoring this video. You can find Nellie's free range eggs nationwide, wherever eggs are sold. Their website linked below, along with the recipe to make this gorgeous shakshuka, also linked below, baby. And if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, give us a heart, comment, let us know in the comments what you think. Whatever you do, just feel free to engage with us. We're here, we're excited to engage with you. My name is Elena Besser, and I will see you next time on Break an Egg.